Hello, everybody. Can I use the microphone? Or?
Sure, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, all right. I have a few slides here. Hopefully you all can hear me. All right, so Wax, if you don't know, is a blockchain that I built with some other people in 2017, built for running NFTs, minting, trading, all that. And let's see. First, I just wanted to level set one thing. What is an NFT? I know it appears that they're images or media files. I think it's really helpful for anyone who's doing anything where you're building in this sector to think of it at an abstract level. An NFT is a way to send anything instantly to somebody else at no cost or virtually no cost, as long as you're not on Ethereum, where the recipient knows with certainty that that thing is authentic. And as far as I have been able to think over the last few years, I've not been able to find anything else in the universe where that statement is true, where you can send something where you know that thing is genuine, and you know it without putting out any effort. When you start to look at NFTs that way, you can see it's not limited to music or videos or pictures. I also think it's worthwhile mentioning that Lou mentioned I've been in the video game industry for a long time. You could do that with one caveat. You've been able to do that for over 20 years. I ran a marketplace that allows people to buy and sell video game virtual items. These virtual items can be sent instantly at no cost and have a certainty when you get them that they're authentic. Sounds a lot like what we do today with NFTs. For those of you who have heard the term metaverse, I'm confused about what that term really means, because to me, any MMOG today kind of looks like a metaverse. In this case, you see a guy with a t-shirt, and you can dress that t-shirt up with, of course, an in-game virtual item. In this case, this is a PUBG video game. That coat in the secondary market goes for about $600. If you've ever played CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, one of the biggest first-person shooter games, you can take your olive drab rifle, dress it up with a skin. In this case, that's a Dragon Lore skin, one of the rarest of all skins in the CSGO universe. There it is there. This slide's a couple years old. Anyone who can do quick math. So that costs about $37,000, 9 BTC, be a discount now. And here is Opskins. Here's the marketplace. You'll see guns, knives, rifles, pistols, all with skins. A skin, by the way, is a video game virtual item that has no in-game utility. It's strictly cosmetic. And you can pay for it with Bitcoin. So it sounds a lot like what we do with NFTs, with one exception. Well, there's two, but this is the big one. These feudal overlords dictate what you're allowed to do, and they really hate secondary markets. I've been in the secondary market business of video games for about 22 years, and we've always had to do battle with them. If you don't do what they want you to do, and what that means, if you don't do something that is a problem, or if you do something that's a problem with their business model, you get banned. And anyone who has ever tried to release any kind of app in an app store knows if you run afoul of the compliance department, they will ban you, and it is unappealable. For me, this is why the NFT concept was of great appeal, because I could not be banned. Now, if you consider that in this environment where there's $200 billion a year in primary sales and $50 billion a year in secondary markets. That's $250 billion. If you think about that, even with this oppressive banning and restrictions on what you can do, you start to think the NFT business should be bigger than this. And of course, that would be a permissionless, decentralized marketplace or marketplaces like we just saw. That's the promise. Now, just to add one other element, they're also programmable, because NFTs are they're Turing-complete computers. right? So an NFT is not a digital object. It is not a video game object. They're not emojis that you transfer back and forth. They're computers. And as much as your imagination allows, you can program them. And I say that because where we're headed has nothing to do with images. So this gives you a sense of how big these three giant consumer behaviors, shopping, trading, playing, all center around what you can do with an NFT. And we're talking trillions of dollars, not hundreds of billions. So we have a long way to go. That's where we're going to go. Let me just say where we are right now. So NFT era 1.0, you could say it began in 2017 and has been gathering steam. We're at the end of this era, kind of just getting into era 2.0. And what you see here is what you normally see with NFTs. They are images and skins, video snippets, music snippets. They're traded, mostly speculative. They don't have much utility. The indie, I say indie game developers because I'm an indie game developer, but indie developers, meaning not the big corporations, they're who dominate this. When you consider that the vast majority of the revenue for NFTs comes from original content, not from licensed organizations, that shows you how much consumers want this stuff. Disney branded stuff doesn't have to be what gets bought and sold here. So this is where we're going, 2.0. Some of you are familiar with the play-to-earn model, which is amazing. Bearer instruments, so that just means a bearer instrument is a document, in this case it will be an NFT, where the ownership of that gives you a right to something. Whoever holds that owns it. Same thing with Bitcoin, except you can do a lot more sophisticated things, of course, with an NFT. And then the programmable utility, that you're going to see again and again and again going forward. As entrepreneurs start to think about what you could program in, the NFTs are going to be a lot more fun. Of course, the big AAA game developers are not in here yet. There are corporations, we work with some that have come, but they're just experimenting. But this is the dawn of the mass market. We're going from niche market to mass market. And there's a lot of reasons why you can see that's coming. One is really simple. The majority, I think 7 of the 10 biggest blockchains by transaction count have thriving NFT ecosystems. And for those of you who are relatively new to blockchain, or only been in a few years, let me tell you, no one was using them. Even our chain, for the first couple of years, it was pretty lonely. People did not use it. This is an example. We slogged for 4 years and got 500,000 NFT collectors on Wax. In the last 10 months, that figure is a month old, it's now almost 8 million NFT collectors. There were barely 80,000 crypto traders 5 years ago. So this is a big, big development. You can see by the sales volume, you can see by the engagement numbers. Remember, historically, people would hodl. They'd buy a crypto and they wouldn't do anything with it. Now you're seeing real engagement here. And of course, you can tell less direct engagement on the Ethereum ones because they're much higher priced, hundreds of thousands often, and of course you got to pay a fee. I looked a couple of days ago, the median value of something being transferred on Ethereum was $28 or $21, and the cost to transfer it was $28. So obviously that can't go on forever. This is really exciting to me. There are thousands and thousands of dApps, and yet the biggest categories now are dominated by NFTs. So this is an exciting development for anybody who's thinking about building on a blockchain. People are coming. Alien worlds, they will do sometimes 300, 400, 500,000 a time, a day. They'll get up to 1 million users in a given week. This is starting to look like more mass market. These are some brands that I'm working with right now that have started to go on blockchains. Some of these I was talking to for years, and they said there's nothing you can do on a blockchain. And the NFT phenomenon this year showed that was not true. So one thing I want to point about where NFTs are going is the tokenization of consumer products. I think most consumer products will have digital twins in the next 10 years. When we did Tether, we thought eventually the world would tokenize currency. I thought that would take till about 2050. I think in 10 years, the majority of the world's governments will have tokenized their currency. Tokenization is not digitization. I don't have time to talk about the key differences, but tokenization is like magic. And consumer products are going to be tokenized. One example here would just be FUNKO. So FUNKO makes these little digital collectibles. People buy them, but they usually buy them to trade them, not to consume them. And in the last 5 or so years, you could say maybe even 7, more and more people are buying things and they don't intend to use them themselves. They intend to trade them. This, of course, has really helped people like eBay and Craigslist and StockX and Stadium Goods and all the marketplaces. But if you think about buying something and really not needing to consume it or use it, then wouldn't you rather trade a digital certificate of that thing, and only when someone actually intends to redeem it do you ship it to them? That's where I think we're going to start to go. It's also much more environmentally friendly. The toy companies are pretty much the first ones to embrace this, and that's because when you think about it, almost no one who buys a toy is the intended end user. It's either given as a gift, or maybe it's a collectible that gets traded. So there's a lot of returns, and there's a lot of hopping around. You'd rather have that thing tokenized and let the buyer or the ultimate holder down the line decide if they want to redeem it. This is something we all can be familiar with. Takes, whatever, 7, 10 days to ship something. You obviously have environmental impacts, and of course you have a lot of boxing and unboxing. When you think about the collectible sneaker market and how many times that shoe will go back and forth, and a foot will never be put in it, that thing is much better off being somewhere else and having the bearer instrument of it in the form of an NFT, because it cannot be altered, and because you know with certainty it's genuine, having that be the representation of the shoe. So in a summary level of all this is NFTs allow you to separate ownership from possession. And that is a powerful construct when you think about global commerce. These are all the things that have been virtualized. Skins, we did those. We did opskins. We did secondary market skins. Of course, currency. But I think one of the biggest areas is going to be consumer products, 25 trillion annually. I'm going to wrap it up here with a couple of points. A day doesn't go by where someone doesn't say to me, but aren't NFTs a fad? And if they might be a fad if what you think of them as an image, but no, they're not. So here's some ways to think about it. To me, and this is the way I typically answer it, because NFTs are computers, calling an NFT or the NFT phenomenon a fad would be like getting bored with Angry Birds as an app and deciding smartphones must be a fad, right? But smartphones have a lot of other utility, just like NFTs do. And think about this. These are capabilities that NFTs do. There are companies that employ tens of thousands of workers to collect fees. And when you talk to blockchain people about thousands of people, hundreds of people, dozens to collect fees, NFTs do that automatically, and they do it transparently, and it is provided with an unalterable record of what was paid. I used to be in Hollywood, and Hollywood accounting still exists. And it's a wonderful thing when you can show somebody a transparent public record of what happened, and everybody knows exactly who is due what and that they got it. Think about documentations. We're in a society now where show us your vaccine pass, your passport, notarized documents. The reality is you'll never really know if those are authentic. They can be, some easily be duplicated. Well, an NFT does this sleeping. That's its whole thing. It doesn't allow you to modify it. I don't know how pervasive NFTs will be in the next 2 or 3 years, but I expect them to be as pervasive as in-game bots in the video game industry, where you don't even recognize them, they're just doing their work. Authentication of documents, that is a process that should be relegated to smart machines like NFTs. And I'll end this with a little warning. I've been in this industry now for 10 years, and no one really cared that much. Mass consumers didn't care about it much. Now they are. But because of that, something has happened. A lot of big companies are even changing their name and saying, look, we're part of this. Well, in 3 years, we are going to have properly priced, like affordable, wearable, augmented reality devices. The principal revenue model for that is going to be NFTs. And if we don't work fast enough to get at least a couple 100 million people aware of what an open and free and permissionless NFT ecosystem is, they're going to go right into these worlds, Facebook 2.0s, and they're not going to see what we've built, and this whole thing could be smothered. So all of you, hopefully, are thinking about building, but the faster we build, improve user interfaces, the quicker we can avoid duplicating what happened with Internet 1.0, where 10 feudal lords rule over everything we do on the web. That's it.